Okay, how I got into writing. So this is actually a very interesting story because I did not go to college. I didn't go to college for any of the things that I have been successful doing. So if you're not aware, not only am I author Abby Jimenez, New York Times bestselling author of 5 rom-coms, but I also own a bakery called Nadia Cakes that I founded out of my kitchen in 2007. I'm a Food Network winner. I won Cupcake Wars. I was on 2 seasons of Fabulous Cakes on TLC. None of this stuff did I go to school for? None of it. They were hobbies. It was all hobbies that I ended up turning into careers for myself. So after I got the bakeries up and running, I decided that I was going to get back into one of my passions, which was reading. I always loved reading from the earliest age. In high school, I was in the honors English classes. I took creative writing all 4 years of high school. I loved writing and I loved reading. But after high school, I couldn't afford to go to college. I had to go right into the retail industry and work. So once I got my bakeries up and running, I decided that I was going to start reading again. And I started picking up a lot of romances. And I was having a really hard time finding the kind of romance that I wanted to read. Regularly finding the kind of romance that I wanted to read. I wanted to read something that had a lot of depth. I wanted to read something that was funny, that was like laugh out loud, rom-com funny, but also felt like these were people that I would know. I didn't want light, fluffy romance, and I didn't want dark romance either. I wanted something in the middle. So I thought, well, maybe I should write my own romance. So I decided to start this really terrible dystopian YA romance. And I wrote this monstrous 300,000 word book that I can't even look at today because it's literally so terrible. And I had the audacity to submit this to a literary agent. And she very gently told me, this was like a big turning point for me, because if this woman hadn't told me this, I don't think I'd be where I am today. She very gently told me that I could benefit from some critique partners. So I went online and I found a site called Critique Circle. Also, number 2, very important thing was Critique Circle. Critique Circle is a tit for tat community where you submit chapters of your work and other people critique it. And the way that you get credits to submit your work is by critiquing other people's work. So you end up forming these really great friendships on there. And then other people help to guide you through your own writing journey, and you learn a lot of stuff, right? Well, Critique Circle has forums. It's got all these resources that tell you how to write a query letter, that tell you how to get in traditional publishing, to tell you how to get into self-publishing. Any question that you can have about writing, Critique Circle has that resource. So I started submitting this really terrible YA romance and was told right out of the gate that it was a very terrible YA romance and that I should probably not ever put this back on the site. So I ended up trunking that, and I said, everybody said that this is a terrible book, but that my dialogue and my banter was really, really great. So I decided to lean on what I knew I was good at, which was my dialogue and my banter. So I trunked that book and I wrote a contemporary romance where the heroine was a grieving artist and the hero was a traveling musician. He was on tour and she finds his dog and they're separated. So there's a lot of on the phone. There's a lot of this really great banter and texting that everybody said I was so great at with my other awful book. And I wrote that book on Critique Circle. I ran it through Critique Circle for 14 weeks and it was the #1 most read book on the site the whole 14 weeks that I ran it through. I was so encouraged by the reception that this book had that I decided to query an agent with it. I got my agent on my very first query. I got my first pick agent. I put a D joke in my query letter. All my crit buddies told me not to do it, but I did it anyway. And she was a D joke kind of lady, and she ended up picking me up. After that, I went into my whole publishing journey, which was wrought with rejection and no's, and I thought I was never going to get published, and that's a whole other story. If you want to hear that one, let me know in the comments.